asking the show.
You are live. Thank
Right.
you.
Right.
I'm
Yeah, now we're live on
being
Player
live.
too. Got to go live on everything. So for our main topic, we're welcome back to the show, Ian, from the Runkle of the Bailey YouTube channel. Welcome back, Ian.
Hey, good to be back. How's everyone doing?
You're from the Runkle of the Bailey YouTube. You're also a criminal defense lawyer. That's just something you do on the side, though, right? YouTube's the main gig, right?
Well, I'm hoping that'll be the case at some point. My goal is to get it so that I'm doing YouTube as my main gig, and then law, just run a free law firm. But
Lots of
YouTube
fun.
as my paying gig. But we'll see if that ever happens. I'm a ways out from making that a thing.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you on because you are the preeminent expert in Canada for this kind of stuff. One of the things that's been changing, you've been covering it with a couple of videos as well, as this C21 changes. I had hoped for timing for when we did this video and this stream to that C21 would have been like done, locked down, and we could just talk about like, okay, or finally the repercussions of it. But
why would you hope for such a thing?
I just want it to be over. I want it to be done. I want it to just like, okay, now what do we do? Because all the guessing as to what's going to happen is painful. It's so painful.
I mean, it's painful, but I'm still hoping that they see sense before they, put this thing through, because it's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
And a lot of the changes are going to have tremendous impacts, including, notwithstanding the fact that they've said, oh yeah, this isn't going to affect Indigenous people. We've said that this won't affect Indigenous rights. It's totally going to affect Indigenous rights.
It's not going to affect them because they said it doesn't.
Yeah.
They specifically said it.
And then they specifically put in things that are going to have tremendous impact. So,
of course.
Yeah, it's sadly our yeah, it's like the I declare bankruptcy thing. It's like, that's not how that works.
I declare this does not affect Indigenous people, but it does. I declared it. Tough luck.
So yeah, I mean, I suspect that they're going to have some serious upset going on when people figure that out. But we'll see.
Yeah. Well, why don't we take a look at this thing in the like kind of like a process kind of way? Handguns. C21 got them in it. Are they going to be banned?
Yep. Well, at least transfers. So that transfer moratorium becomes permanent. Which, anybody who believed that it was just a temporary thing, their goal was always to make it permanent. And it's going to be very difficult to ever reverse that because essentially it'll need a conservative majority, or for the NDP to figure out that, maybe they should represent their base. Because a lot of the people the NDP claims as their base are gun owners. When they say we represent, workers and farmers, well, who do you think owns the guns for the most part? So, yeah.
Yeah, do they represent the workers and farmers? Like, we just had a provincial election here, and they did not do well in rural areas. They did okay in the cities, but not.
They represent their idea of what workers and farmers look like. But when you actually look at it, I mean, I lean fairly left, but I think it's kind of interesting when you actually look at the reactions people have had to the UCP winning. Because a lot of the people who talk about how they're, oh yeah, I'm totally, the voice of the people and voice of the, well, they're out there throwing around terms like redneck and, hick and so forth. And do they not think that the people they're talking about, like, listen to them? Do they not think that they can be heard when they say these things? Because, yeah, it's kind of astounding that they, they'll say, oh yeah, these are, who we here, who we're looking out for. And then they'll speak with that kind of contempt at the same time. And it's like, people know what you actually think when you say that kind of thing. So
Isn't there a saying from Blazing Saddles on this? The people, the salt of the earth, morons. I feel like that's the way that they talk about the people who have been voting in the wrong way against their self-interest, as if they can't figure that out on their own.
well, it's basically the usual idea of they really support a particular idea of of these people and not the actual people themselves. So it's sort of, we support this like romanticized notion of who they should be, but we don't actually like the people in question. And that becomes a problem because people aren't inclined to vote for somebody who holds them in contempt.
Mhm.
And they know that, like they can tell. So that's kind of the problem we get to. And the provincial NDP and the federal NDP are basically the same on that.
They are the same party. They differ on some stuff. Anyways,
well, I mean, on that point, they're basically identical, and it's sad. I think we could do better, but is what it is.
Yeah. So handguns, frozen, raffles.
Frozen is really the wrong word. It's it's a soft ban. And later they'll turn around and say, "Oh well, we're just going to ban them anyway."
Or they'll pull the ATTs like they did with because I got some buddies who have FNFALs and they got grandfathered into them. Okay, you can have them, but you can only take them to the range and back. And then, you need an ATT for that. Oh, actually, we're not going to give you ATTs for any of this stuff. You can just leave it in your house doing nothing.
Well, and what you'll probably just see is I suspect that they're going to come back in a few years and say, well, we're just going to ban them. And, you couldn't buy new ones anyway. Maybe they'll wait until the pool of people is sufficiently, until enough people have lost their guns, that there's a pool of gun owners that they can tap and say, well, I couldn't own them anyway, so I don't care if they ban them.
Or until the next blackface tragedy occurs.
Yeah, I mean, he does love to throw us under the bus every time he gets caught doing something embarrassing.
So what about the rifles? What's happening with rifles? We're banning everything
rifles,
semi-automatic.
They have decided on a new definition of prohibited firearm, which I don't have in front of me, but it's basically everything manufactured after the date in which it comes into force that is designed for a magazine or designed to go with a magazine that can take more than 5 rounds. Of course, all of the rifles are designed for the American market, where they have much more sensible magazine rules, and therefore, or semi-automatic rifles rather is the limit on this one, but they're all designed for the American market, so this will affect basically everything. It's this is basically going to ban every semi, unless it's somehow specifically designed with Canada in mind. And I don't know why anybody would, because Canada is such a small market comparatively. But we'll see. I mean, this is kind of their grand idea of how they want to run things. So now's a good time to buy a semi, except that they're probably going to turn around and, they're going to turn around and then, what do you call it? OIC ban everything anyway, because they've said that they want to set up a committee to decide what else needs to be banned, which is, of course, going to be all the stuff on their OIC list, because that's really how they've been operating, is where they really like to
tell them their policy back to them and be like,
well, yeah,
these experts said it.
We've got David Johnson, who is basically parroting the Liberal position. We've got, and notwithstanding the massive conflict of interest there, he's going to go ahead. We've got the Mass Casualty Commission, who came back with word for word Liberal policy. Like, that doesn't seem suspicious at all. This independent commission is coming back with, exactly what the Liberals are saying. Like, come on. All of this is, of course, deeply frustrating, but what can you do? It's other than, complain, which I am good at.
And make YouTube videos about complaining.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of depressing what we were looking at right now. So,
yeah. Magazines. Do they need any legislation? Do they need C21 to mess with magazines, or they can just OIC those at any time they want to?
I suspect we're going to see an OIC to attempt to ban them. So we'll see how that goes. Because yeah, they can. I mean, technically, they can ban all sorts of things. And now that they're setting up the precedent of using these things fairly freely, it might be interesting to see how future governments really abuse it, because everybody's worried about like abortion bans. Well, I mean, there's nothing that says that that a prohibited device in the firearm section of the criminal code actually has anything to do with a firearm. So maybe we'll see things like, hey, we're just going to declare any of these medications to be a prohibited device. And we're really running away from this notion of sort of limits on government towards this vision of a government that can do anything it wants whenever it wants. And that should be really concerning to people. But,
it's not when it's your party in power, right? When it's your party doing it all, it's like, oh, that's fine.
I mean, I feel like I'm a crazy person because I get in trouble when the conservatives do something that is like similarly a power grab. I'll be like, this is real concerning. And I'll get, conservative supporters going, no, you got to support the party. And I'm like, but they're doing a dumb thing, right? We have to oppose the dumb things, whoever does it. But politics is becoming such a team sport these days that we're seeing a lot of people who should be concerned about some of this stuff going, nah, it's all good. And that concerns me greatly, because if we don't have a political system that's got some sort of balancing to it, that puts us all in trouble, right? It's just, so long as the government at the time happens to like you, you're okay. Well, you can't assume that. Everybody's going to end up with a government that eventually doesn't like you, or something that you do. They haven't made any clarification because they haven't actually put in a mag ban yet, but I'm expecting them to just say 5 rounds for rifles, period.
Long gun, shotguns too.
Yep. Anything that is non-restricted. They might even go for handguns, saying 5 rounds.
Now, do you think they're going to? So one of the things I noticed in that legislation is that the modification is now not so that it takes 5 rounds. The modification is now so that it can never take more than 5 rounds. Do you think they're going to force us to cut our Ruger 1022 magazines in half and figure out how to do something with the rotary mag?
Well, I mean, the Ruger 1022 mags are, there just isn't a way to adapt them. So those are just, lots of us have 1022s because they're a great rifle. They're, an incredibly well-selling gun. But what we're going to see is just, I suspect we're just going to see them saying, oh, well, too bad, so sad. Those are banned. You can single feed your 1022.
Or you can get the Butler Creek mags and chop them to the 5. I don't even know what they would look like.
Well, except that they're going to say you can't import a Butler Creek mag. You can't, it's just going to be, chaos on all of that. So,
I've said it before on the show, but I hope they do it. I hope they do it to that letter, because it'll finally make all of these rural liberals in some of the other areas of the country finally say, whoa, I really don't like that. I am actually going to change my vote because that sounds horrible. Because everything else, I don't know, people will just make do. There's tons of hunters out there that don't give a crap about everyone else. and they're fine with everyone getting their handguns banned or their semi-automatic rifles get banned and all that kind of stuff until it affects them. So I would love for them. I'm a pure accelerationist. I want them to go. I think the phrase is full retard and go forward with that mag ban as written.
I mean, the thing is that they're not actually going to do it. All of the notion that like people will rise up, people will change their votes, people will, you know, take actions, they won't. I don't have a whole lot of confidence in that. People like it just doesn't actually end up paying off, you know, when you look at it. You know, people are fundamentally cowardly on a lot of this stuff, and I don't expect that to change in any real way anytime soon. So
I guess that makes me an accelerationist and an optimist. Because I hope that if some FUDs out east have to chop their cooies down, their tubes on their cooies, I hope when they've got their hacksaw, I hope they're cursing, and I hope that they remember what they had to do for the next election, because it feels like a lot of these policies are like pretty extreme, right? But not extreme enough to change someone's vote. I think that like the mag change one could be extreme enough and could affect a wide ranging of people enough to actually make a change.
Well, what you might end up seeing is what do you call it? People who indigenous groups getting very upset because ultimately a lot of them are going to be sitting there looking at this going like, what do you mean we have to give up these things that we used to hunt, which is going to happen a lot. What do we mean? What do you mean that, you know, that Joe over there who has been hunting forever has got to lose his his license now because he had a charge where previously they said, oh, well, we're going to make sure that, you know, that he gets to keep his license because, you know, he's got to do, you know, he's got indigenous hunting rights. Well, this bill is going to take away gun right or, you know, gun access from a lot of those people who previously had it protected. And when we look at the history of over enforcement of laws against indigenous people in Canada, oh, right, this is going to have a tremendously disproportionate effect for that reason. I mean, he could have just called it the Indigenous Peoples Disarmament Act, and it would have been an accurate name. But that might be the first time he's ever been honest in his life, so we're not going to see that. I'm feeling pretty cynical these days, as you can gather.
Well, one thing that you just recently covered is airsoft. I remember seeing it early on. I remember people being pissed off about it, and then I saw a video that you just put out. So what's the story with airsoft right now?
So right now they've taken out the provisions that would have banned just about every airsoft gun in Canada, which is good, but expect them to bring it back, or expect them to try to put it back in somehow. So we may see the Senate, you know, the independent senators group, who of course is, you know, not terribly independent. I guess we could say they're as independent as David Johnson, and vice versa, coming back and saying, well, we recommend that they put that back in because, you know, airsoft is scary. And I mean, ultimately, the really silly thing about this is that it'll ban things that are designed to look like an exact replica of an existing model of gun, but it won't affect things that just look like it could be a gun, but don't match an existing make and model. So something that looks like a gun, but not like a, you know, what, like a Smith & Wesson, whatever, right? Like it doesn't match that specific thing. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say that your average like liquor store cashier does not have an encyclopedic knowledge of guns. And so if something gets pointed in their face that is gun shaped and, you know, silver or black or whatever, they're going to give up the goods because of course you would. You know, you're not going to be like, oh yeah, well, sorry, I don't recognize that specific model. So, you know, so I'm not upset about this. I'm not afraid. I'm not worried. Come back when you've got a specific make and model of handgun. Like, that's just not how anyone thinks. But this is what they're looking to ban, is, just that specific element. And it's absolutely idiotic. It'll accomplish literally nothing, because you'll still be able to to buy the same thing good enough to rob a liquor store. The main people it'll affect is, the airsoft community, especially because the things that are sort of licensed to match a particular existing firearm tend to be of better quality, tend to be the sort of things that you might want to field if you're actually trying to compete and trying to have fun, and less so what you need to, to shake down a liquor store. But I mean, there we go. That's that's where their policy directions are going.
I guess they could always, like, even if they only ban guns that look like other guns, and then let's say Fisher Price goes and hires one of the Kel-Tec engineers for a bump of coke every week or two, and then has them design some guns for Fisher Price.
I hear that is the going rate over at Kel-Tec.
Yeah. I would bet that if any of those guns started coming into country, they would be banned as a variant of something. Oh, sorry. That either looks like an AK or an AR, and therefore a variant of it.
The thing is that those things are already on the market here. There's already tons of them on the market. So I think they might have a hard time with that. But, who knows? That doesn't mean that they won't necessarily try. So we'll just have to see what that ends up looking like. But
yeah. So what are the other kind of like bigger items in C21 that you're still seeing in there that are kind of troubling for you?
One of them is the swatting provision, which there was some attempts to sort of crack down on or to remove, and they've said no, it's got to stay in there exactly the way it is, notwithstanding that École Polytechnique actually agrees with us on this one, which is weird. Like, I never expected to be on the same side as École Polytechnique on literally any point. But yeah, they've noted that this provision that allows anyone in Canada to ask for a firearm prohibition ex parte against anyone in Canada is potentially a problem. And I mean, we're going to see it abused. I mean, 100% it will be. And some of the things that aren't abuses will probably also terrify people, because but I mean, things like, some of the people who should be really worried about this are soldiers and police, because the old red flag provisions allowed them to, to revoke your firearms license or to come in and seize them all, and immediately, the police could do that, and then that immediately would revoke your firearms license, but it wouldn't impose a firearm prohibition until after a court proceeding had happened. So after you've got a chance to address it yourself and to say, whoa, this is my ex. They're, I've got a restraining order against them. They've been convicted of perjury 17 times. Like, maybe their evidence is no good. But because it'll impose a prohibition instead of just a revocation, one of the groups that affects most strongly is military and police, because police can still use firearms even if they've had a revocation, so long as they're only doing so in the course of duty. And same with, the military. Most military members and most police members don't actually have a PAL. But this will mean basically that somebody can go ex parte, which means, again, you don't have a chance to respond to it until it's already in effect, and kick a cop off the streets. Like, just remove that cop's ability to do their job. So if there's a police officer that you don't like, somebody could go into court and be like, hey, this guy jumped me on the street knocked me down and kicked my head a couple of times. And they'd be like, oh, that's real concerning. We better ban this guy from having guns, notwithstanding the fact that you're leaving out some critical details, like that you were, trying to avoid arrest at the time and also holding a knife. And because the court doesn't actually get, there's no cross-examination on this. There's no, there's no checking. They won't be able to check and see if you've got a criminal record or something like that. And they won't be able to check and say, like, hey, is this guy a cop, or like, what's the deal with this guy? They'll just impose the firearm prohibition. So at that point, you're sitting there going, oh, right, well, this officer now can't even in the course of duty use a firearm. So that's a tremendous abuse. It also works on military members, and most effectively on deployed military members, because past case law has held that that a firearm prohibition has extraterritorial effect, which means that you are committing an offense in Canada if you get a firearm prohibition against you and you go to Vegas and shoot at a range there. Canada has said you're not allowed to do that, so you're not allowed to do it anywhere on the planet. So what this
keep your pics off Instagram.
Yeah. And that is, in fact, how people get convicted on that, is they post pictures to, to Facebook or Instagram or whatever else. And then Canada's like, hey, we'd like to arrest you.
Really?
Yep. Wow. There's cases where this has happened. So, and then they come back to Canada and they find that there's an arrest warrant. And as it turns out, the airport is really good at detecting that you've got an arrest warrant for you. So, like, this could also be called the "let's get police off of our streets" bill, because but I mean, I've done on my channel a little segment of still a cop versus not a cop no more, and you've got police officers who've been convicted of or found to have committed serious crimes who are still police officers. I guess this would be a way to go and bring an application to say, hey, this guy admitted to a sexual assault. He's still allowed guns for some reason. We should ban him from having guns. And then that officer doesn't get to have them anymore. So I guess there should be some officers who are concerned about this, because it might actually mean that Joe Public can now take them off this, can like say, oh, yeah, this guy, I've decided he can't be a cop anymore.
What an odd avenue of activism.
It really is. I did not, but it's just, we've entered into this surreal land where the law allows for things I never really thought possible. It's just bizarre. And oh yes, on the presumed guilty, even if potentially innocent, it'll go a step further than that, because you will be forever banned from having a firearm if you've ever had a firearm prohibition order, which includes a bail order. So if you've ever been out on bail, and on a bail that says that you can't have guns, which is almost all of them, they throw that condition in on like every charge. You will be in a situation where you then can't have guns forever, because even if you're acquitted, like even if they find that you are not guilty, it will turn out that in fact you were on that order, and therefore you are not allowed to have guns, because having been on that order ever is enough. So the whole notion that you are innocent until proven guilty is going by the wayside. People are asking, like, what do I do if I get charged? It'll actually be, I'm going to have to start talking to clients and say, hey, what would you rather do? Get your guns back maybe one day, or get out of jail? Because it might actually make sense for people to just stay in custody to avoid being put on the bail order that would ban them from having guns.
Wow.
So, like, if guns are important for, say your occupation, like, in my case, I might choose to stay in jail if I was ever charged with an offense, rather than But I mean, if they put a no contact condition while you're in custody, that you can't contact them from in custody, then that'll also have the same effect. So, yep, it's just the charge itself, and in fact, having ever been charged. So if you think of how many people have ever been charged with offenses who still have firearms, that's lots.
But I mean, like you're saying there, the option is you just stay in prison until you get your court case, which I mean, those are happening pretty quickly right now, right? You get you get charged,
like a year. So
not that quick, then not a weekend or anything, right?
Well, and also, I mean, keep in mind that people get killed in custody, right? There is and kind of ironically, you're more likely to get killed in custody if you are not sort of the usual criminal, because as it turns out, you're probably less able to navigate the criminal sphere if that's you. And you're probably, less scary. So somebody who's inclined to do violence is quite possibly inclined to do violence against the most vulnerable people in prison. And that typically means the guy who's there, on some like minor stuff, rather than the person who's in there on 3 murders. If you're thinking of who you want to pick a fight with, do you want to pick a fight with the guy who's, a drug dealer who's got a gang at their back, and, is known on the streets to have killed several people? Or do you want to pick a fight with the guy who is probably a little terrified to be there and normally works as an accountant? If I had to choose which of those people I was going to tangle with, I'm going to fight the accountant every time. So, yep, that'll be fun. People might have to choose literally, I suspect we'll see some charter arguments against this and whether it violates the right to be presumed innocent unless you've committed an offense, because I think it does. Mm-hmm. And I'm not the only one who thinks it does. I can say that when I mentioned this to, some lawyers who are rabidly anti-gun, they said, "Oh, that's not a problem. There's no way that's going to be found to be constitutional." And I'm like, well, it is a problem because you never know. There's always a chance. And, it's concerning. So,
and it does take a while for new laws to get the case to the appropriate level, and then have those things found unconstitutional. Think of the mandatory minimums that the Conservatives put in. How long did those take to get overturned as unconstitutional? 10 years? It took a while.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I mean, there's going to be a ton of people who are just unable to bring that, because it takes a tremendous amount of money to bring that all the way up to the Supreme Court, like a tremendous amount of money. And most of us don't have a tremendous amount of money. I don't know if I could, on my own, fund a case up to the Supreme Court. Maybe.
Sounds
and I'm doing better than a lot of people.
Of a thing, right?
Right.
Get the GoFundMe going.
Yep. I mean, I might be able to do it with, a case I'm self-repping, but that seems like a dangerous game on that. It's tough. How we seem to have a government that is sort of given the notion of these constitutional protections and decided that they don't matter. His dad set up the charter and he's doing everything he can to tear it down. It's, well, it's ironic, I guess.
It's getting in the way of what he wants to do.
Well, I mean, that's what it's for.
Yeah.
I mean, really, people are like, why do we have the charter? And it's like, to actually limit these things. And I mean, we see the charter talk on both sides. Like, I know a lot of people who are like, why do people have a right to bail? It's like, well, because it's an important right. It's critical, in fact, because how do you defend yourself if you're somebody like Ian Thompson, who was, if people aren't familiar with that one, because I guess it's been a few years now, but he defended himself by firing a gun into the air, not even at anybody, when they were firebombing his house and specifically trying to kill him. Like, they weren't just like, oh yeah, we're going to do some property damage. The point was that they wanted to kill Mr. Thompson. They were targeting the doors and windows to make it difficult to escape. They were going to burn him alive. And, he managed to get out. He was a PAL holder. So, he gets a revolver. He manages to load it. And, yeah, it's like, I feel like Ian Thompson should have been out pending trial, and he was, because he's one of the least threatening people on the planet when it gets right down to it. I would not have any problem inviting Mr. Thompson over to like stay at my house. In fact, I feel like if somebody was going to firebomb it, he might be a good person to have over. But
he's got some experience with that.
He's got some experience with that. But so anytime somebody says, "Oh, we need to dial back on rights," I go, I'm not sure about that. But the scale at which it's been happening is really concerning to me. It's there's been this huge shift in attitude towards it, and in how our governments deal with rights.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. It has been a big change in. I guess that's been a change with voters too. Voters have gone to a more authoritarian viewpoint of how they get things done. They've looked to the government to fulfill more things for them, to do more things for them, to restrict more things for them, and that's that the newer generation of voters are looking for that. So I guess that's the kind of governments that we have to look forward to. Maybe not to take things too philosophical. Anything else in this bill that you see as problematic, or anything that got removed that was like a happy surprise?
I mean, really, the airsoft was the happy surprise on removals.
Mm-hmm.
That was really our the big thing, and I know for a lot of our viewers are going to say I don't care because although it also affected pellet guns. And I know that a lot of gun owners also own pellet guns. It would have banned just about every pellet gun. Yep. But I mean, there's really concerning stuff in here in so many ways, because there's just, for instance, if they revoke your firearms license and you want to challenge it, you have to turn in every gun that you have to the government to challenge it. And then if you don't succeed, those are lost. Not that you have to because right now, if they revoke your firearms license, you can sell those, right? You can retain that money. It'll actually be that if you challenge it, those have to get forfeited if you lose, not sold anymore.
Wow.
So, but if you don't challenge it, then you can sell them, which creates a real strong disincentive to anybody who wants to, to uphold their rights on that.
It sounds like a process, like a new process to me. You sell all your guns to your buddy for $1, and then you challenge it.
Except, will they actually process your transfers? Because now you need to get approval for all of those transfers while you're pending this. I doubt it. And a lot of people have guns right now that they can't transfer their buddy for $1. Hey, I've got a bunch of handguns. Can I transfer those? Nope.
Yep.
So it's just going to be messed up, because how do we say it's fair that there's this process to challenge it, but there's such a strong disincentive for exercising your legal rights?
Yeah.
It's really chaotic, and I wish I could say I could see things going better, but right now there's a court case ongoing, which, I mean, I'm on the losing side of at this stage, because I'm going to the Court of King's Bench, where there's already binding precedent from somebody else that says that that I'm going to lose on this one. So the only reason I'm fighting at this stage is to get it to hopefully the Supreme Court at some point. But where they basically have said that they can revoke, essentially, if this goes through, they'll be able to revoke people's firearm, licenses and registrations and so forth, without any judicial review whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a bad, and it's largely in place because judges don't understand the firearms laws and they don't understand any of this, and they don't. It's a problem. There's a limit to how critical I can be of the courts just because of my role as a lawyer, but I think that what's happened thus far in terms of all of this is like if they applied this to immigration law or any other sort of area of law, they would see just how obvious it is that these rules should not be imposed the way they are. The way that they've sort of agreed to hold this up, but we'll have to see. I mean, I'm hoping that we'll see a government or a Supreme Court that'll say, no, this doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
But
or a change in political party.
Yeah.
Way that...
Well, I mean, the change in political party, they'd have to they would have to actually amend the law as well. And unless we see a conservative majority, don't expect that to happen.
Yeah, I'm with you there. That's the only way that this makes sense.
So look in your gun safe, see how much that's worth, and consider making a donation to the I'm not a big fan of any political party, but I'm probably donating to the CPC this time just because we're in a bad spot here, and I think it affects more than just guns. The rationale that they're trying to impose here is awful.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I've been talking most of this time with Ian. Kelly, El Jefe, Mo, any comments, questions?
Not really.
I'm most of all the troubling stuff. I'm most concerned about the committee and handpicking. Obviously, the antis. There's no chance we would get pro-gun folks on that committee. Correct?
Oh yeah, I mean, you can see that, like, hey, who might be a good choice? Oh, somebody like me or Mr. Burlew. Although I suspect both of us would tell them that we're probably philosophically the wrong, not super inclined, but they're not likely to listen to or to get any of these kinds of voices. What they'll do is they'll pick some sort of friendly pet voices. They're going to pick some groups that they, suspect will be, friendly to them. They'll pick like, some hunters and anglers groups that'll say, oh, well, we don't use these kinds of guns for hunting. There's not going to be anybody from like 3-gun or anything like that. It's
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Well, sorry for such a downer, but that's kind of where things are going. Yeah, Adam had mentioned that it's setting precedent for private property to be banned or confiscated by the government at any time they want for any reason, because they don't really have a great reason to ban ARs, for example, because they don't really get used in crimes in Canada, nevertheless, mass shootings and that kind of thing. So, no burden of evidence. And
like, I don't think I've ever actually seen an AR in the hands of a criminal.
Not in Canada.
A drug dealer or whatever. I've seen, I saw one where they were like, hey, we think this guy's got an AR. And they searched the guy's house, and it turned out to be an airsoft. And it was like, you know what? If the guy, decides to shoot up my house with an airsoft AR-15, I'm feeling okay about that. Overall, I think society is not doing too bad there, because, I'll survive.
Maybe is that what the AR and AR-15 stands for? Airsoft rifle. Another definition.
We should try to convince people of that because
actually, it started as an airsoft rifle. They just decided to make it a real thing. They like the look of it. Awesome. Any other comments or anything else you wanted to mention, Ian?
well, it's you sort of talked about like whether or not they'll this will get stalled in the summer. If it does, and there's so far there's no indication. There's no indication that they're stalling it at all. I initially had thought that they might because the Liberal Party loves to use gun control as their wedge issue, specifically because right now they recognize that they're weak on a bunch of other issues, like housing, economic stuff, all of this kind of thing. There's all sorts of people have concerns, and the Liberals aren't polling great on them. Ethics, but China. So what we see is them saying, well, the guns are scary. I think that what they've decided is basically that they're going to hammer this through, and then run on the issue of, well, the Conservatives will undo it if they're elected. Because they've realized that they don't even need to hold the threat over people's heads anymore. They can just hold the threat of somebody disagrees with something that's already been done. And
correct.
So I don't think they're going to stall it at all at this stage. More's the pity, unfortunately.
For sure.
Yeah.
Any other comments from anyone else?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep.
Okay. So the one other question I had was, you did mention that OIC, maybe for the magazines, etc. But charter challenge, because it is property. So was the OIC that was just actually heard in court. But this is property rights. How likely?
Property rights come into the charter in section not existent. There just really isn't, there really isn't a charter right to property. So what we're going to see
constitutional though.
I mean,
constitutional challenge specific to guilty before, but that was the same thing that
you may see challenges on. You may see challenges on specific sections to say like this section violates whatever, but for a lot of it, it's just going to be unfortunately, I don't think that there's actually going to be that, that issue. So, as much as I'd love to say otherwise, I think that we're stuck on a bunch of that those elements.
Okay. Excellent. No.
No, it's not.
Not excellent. Opposite of excellent.
Excellent. No, it's not. Damn it.
Yeah, it is the exact opposite of excellent. Unfortunately, things are, quite depressing in that sense. And people are like, hey, did you buy any new guns? And I'm like,
No.
I suspect that any new gun I say I bought, they're going to ban, because I know at this point, I know that I'm on their radar. Blake Brown did an entire sort of hit run at me, which was kind of funny at how badly it went. But Polytechnique, as soon as that went up, Polytechnique echoed it, like they were retweeting that. And it was like the instant it went up. So that felt a little coordinated, which suggests to me that they, I'm wondering if they talked and decided that they were going to take a run at me. I don't think it went how they planned it, but it's just, I suspect I'm enough on their radar that if I say, hey, I just got this new gun and I'm having a lot of fun with it, they'll be like, oh, we're going to add that. Maybe I should pick something like really ridiculous and just be like
minigun,
or just something that doesn't exist, like a gun that just doesn't, like I'll go with a gun I've got and then just call it something that doesn't exist and see if it ends up on their ban list.
Excellent. The Buttmaster.
I was gonna say it's the Buttmaster all over again.
The Buttmaster, at least one of them exists. So I mean, but there's some other fun things I might do with this law. If they do put in mag bans, I have some ideas for how to make that go really sideways. So, and I don't want to talk about them on stream because then they might adapt the law to make that, not as much of a concern. Whereas I kind of think this is a time to have fun. So we'll just see what they do on that. So I guess your move, Trudeau. We'll see if you can outsmart my my plans to make your law look really dumb.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to that, Ian. Not looking forward to C21, but looking forward to seeing how you're going to mess with it in the future. For anyone who's listening in, you can find Ian at Runkle of the Bailey on YouTube. Where else can they find you, Ian?
I'm also on. I think I'm on Rumble, so a lot of my stuff is mirrored there. I'm on Locals. So if you get a Locals membership, you can watch stuff without ads, which a lot of people prefer. A lot of people not a fan of YouTube these days, so that's another option. I just sort of wherever I can put up content, I guess is. But I'm also on Roll of Law if you're more interested in D&D geek stuff. That's kind of my funsies channel. So if you're looking for something that's not depressing, that's where you'll find it.
Not depressing.
Well, sadly, all of the gun stuff is depressing these days. So
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, people are sometimes like, "Why don't you ever have any good news?" I'm like, "Why don't our politicians ever have any good news?"
There is none. Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to hearing how you mess with the magazines and everything else, and very much appreciative of the content you're putting out on YouTube or on your YouTube channel, just to help add some clarity to some of the very tough laws and interpretations of those laws that we have in front of us.
Well, and I think it's especially important right now because our government is not being super honest about what's in there. So we're seeing things like where they're saying like, oh yeah, this is, this won't affect, this particular gun that is specifically mentioned by name. It's like, yeah, well, so I don't know if they're being dishonest or if they just don't understand their own legislation, but yeah.
Column A, column B.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to sort out the incompetence versus malice on this particular group.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Ian, thanks again for coming on the show and helping us out to navigate this bill, and hope to see you on again very, very soon.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Ian.
Thanks, Ian.
Thanks, Ian. Have a good night.
Bye.
Hello and welcome
Do you
to
think
Slamfire
because
Radio.
the
The delay. The federal government delay. Are you on like federal government internet over there?
Yeah.
that is correct.
You have to go through a check to make sure you don't say anything naughty.
I don't know. Yes. 5-second delay.
5-second delay. Hello, this is episode 509. Oh. Now, if you're interrupting me, like right when I first started, okay, that'd be fine. Oh, Ian, Richard says use over at the end of each sentence. Over.
Over.
Over? Okay. Does that mean that I can start? Over.
No. I didn't know what it
You're
is.
supposed
Like
to say
my
over.
Oh, over.
Is this a vaudeville act? What's happening right now?
No, this is the train wreck in
I don't take
live
direction
action.
well.
I don't think it's direction. I think it's mostly just a delay. But hello and welcome to Slamfire Radio. This is episode 509 for May 31st, 2023. I'm one of your hosts, Adriel.
I'm another host, Kyle.
I'm another host, Mo.
And I'm delayed. I'm Kelly.
You see how I just I brought us back on the track? get this train back on the tracks. Let's go.
You're
Okay.
a professional.
We got shipments of oil to make. This is one of those NDP trains that's got oil on it for some godforsaken reason.
Well, you gotta make use of all those cars they bought.
Well, like as soon as for whatever that strategy was, as soon as COVID started, like the logistics went to hell in a handbasket. So I don't even think they're doing that anymore. But Kyle, did you want to start us off with what we did in guns this week?
Sure. I drove up to Roswell on Saturday and shot their USPSA match.
Nice.
And Crystal shot it as well. It went better for both of us. Crystal is getting more confident and comfortable behind the gun. We still got to work out the grip, and I might put the Canic in her hands and see if that will work better for her. But I'm shooting a little bit better, but still.
What'd you have her shooting before?
She's shooting my Zev right now.
Yeah.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like the gun, but it seems like it really needs a firm grip to cycle. But once again, like we had a single-handed stage, and once again, it cycled perfectly single-handed. It's just when you got two hands on the gun. So,
Dragging the slide with a thumb or something, maybe?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, and I think she said this, that when she's single-handed, she's gripping onto that gun really hard because she doesn't want it to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But with two hands, she's more confident it's not going to go anywhere, so she doesn't have as tight of a grip.
Makes sense.
Is it for both hands? We can dispose strong hand?
Yeah, single-handed, it just runs flawless for her. But
The other thing that I was wondering is if she's using two hands, if she's the grip on one side is weaker than the other.
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
It might be. I mean,
That might be one reason why.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen lots of bad grips and guns still cycle, so I think it just needs to be overall a tighter grip. But like I said, I'm gonna try putting the Canic in her hand too and see how that works. Maybe that's a little bit more forgiving on the grip. But I'm still working on getting out of the 3-gun mindset for USPSA because I'm taking a few too many mics and not respecting certain targets quite enough. But
like partials or distance or
this time it was distance, and then there was one close one that had it was kind of like a tuxedo. Just had the sides that were hardcover, and I just that 0.2 of a second longer, give it a little bit more respect, and it would have been in because it was only a 1/4 inch into the black for that one. But yeah, I had 2 weird malfunctions on the classifier where my STI actually stovepiped. So thinking it might be time to actually replace the recoil spring on that. Probably order up a pack of recoil springs from Atlas or something and start playing around with different weights.
You should probably just sell that thing. Buy once, cry once. You should buy something that's just more expensive and better. No?
Well, I'd love to, but I've already spent $5,000 on the pistol. How much more do I need to spend?
What's your capacity when you're shooting?
In my 140s, I got 20 rounds.
Okay. Do you find are you comfortable now not knowing not having to do all the reloads and stuff? Or do you feel like you're like kind of getting ready to reload like after, 8-9 shots?
It depends on the stage. It is nice not doing so many reloads, but even on some of the stages, it's probably the same amount of reloads as you would have done.
Okay.
No, on the one you would have had a standing reload, so yeah. Okay. It's typical. I mean, I'm used to it down in the States. I fumbled 1 reload at the start of the day on Saturday, but the rest of my reloads are still there, so it's not like I'm losing the reloads and whatnot. But yeah, so I just still got to clean up my shooting. I was able to take 2 division stage wins, and then I ended up taking second in limited by 0.5%. So,
Nice.
so yeah, it was a nice level 1 match. So it was a little extra encouraging to have a decent placing at like a little local match. But yeah, and then this coming weekend, well, I ordered the upper handguard and a charging handle for my AR. So once those come in, I should be able to get my AR finished and built. Get out training with that.
Airsoft?
Yes, my airsoft rifle 15.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then this weekend, I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do because there's a steel challenge back up in Roswell this weekend. Or I was kind of thinking of taking the weekend and actually getting some training in.
Nice.
So I'm in debate because I do feel like match is like the best training, but just spending some dedicated time on the range would be good as well.
Yeah.
Just keep shooting matches. That's your training.
Yeah.
Dry fire? Nah, matches.
Well,
All matches.
I gotta start
Just
dry
matches.
firing too, for sure. But that's it for me. Mo, how about you?
Since I wasn't on last week, I guess I have 2 weekends worth. So I'm trying to go back in time. The weekend prior, I went to an IPSC match that's about an hour from my house, Saint Jacques Le Meneux, Saint Jack the Miner. And it was the first outdoor one of the year. So it's nice to shoot an IPSC match outside for the first time. And they only do 1 match a year. So it's kind of like just a 1 match and they're done for the season. It went okay. I mean, I didn't shoot that well, but it was still fun. And then right after that, I hustled home to put away the pistol, get my rimfire stuff because we were leaving. There was a group of us that was going to Catskill, New York for the Sheepdog Warrior rimfire match. And so we drove on this Saturday evening. It was about 4-ish hours, 4.5. And we camped overnight, and then the match was Sunday. And I think there was, what did it turn out to be, 55 shooters, and we had a contingent of 12 Canadians there. So that was pretty cool. And it was a lot of fun. And it was the previous match I did terrible. And this was the first time I think I actually made some gains. So
Cool.
yeah,
Nice.
things that were improvements. I felt more steadier. Like the wobble zone was a lot less wobbly, and but I still struggled with target acquisition. So I keep working on that. But I was making more of an effort to 2 things. I was making more of an effort to get my head off get my head up off the scope, find the target, and then go back. And then the other thing, I was trying not to get frustrated because I usually get frustrated when I can't find something. And then I waste time just doing that. So it's something I keep working on. I think with more match experience, it'll get better and better. But I was just happy with the accuracy was definitely better. And it was a lot of fun. It was just a lot of fun.
Good.
And then this past weekend, on the Friday was our local at the Montreal range, was the last local match of the season, IPSC match. And I went there. I wasn't able to leave work early, but I helped. I went for a few hours for the build, and then we had the match after that, or the Friday squads, anyways. And I did pretty well. I was pretty happy. And for the my IPSC version of what I'm working on is, and similar to what Kyle was saying, is being more patient on the follow-up shot, because I know the misses are always or most likely on the follow-ups. So I found myself a little bit more, not taking too much time, but just a little bit more patient, and had a lot less mics, and the result was definitely better. So I was
Right on.
I was pretty happy about that. And so yeah, I'm trying to keep the pace up with all the non-shooting parts of the match, and then obviously slowing down on that follow-up shot. And then after that, I went back home for a visit, and I went to the Galt Sportsman Club, and I did a little rimfire practice there because I brought my rifle with me. And again, thing I was working on was like the follow through. So I was making sure that after I pull the trigger, that I'm giving it that millisecond to actually see where my bullet's going. So I was working on that, and I was working on panning around, like safely anyways, but panning around, just trying to looking for objects and stuff to practice. And that's it. I also signed up for a couple of IPSC matches, one in Cornwall that's this weekend, and then Stittsville, which is the weekend after that. And I'm eyeing the Maple Seed on July 8th in Cornwall, but not 100% yet. I'm trying to get Gabriel was going to come too, but I don't think he can make it, so I'll see if I'm going to come.
Oh, come on. I'm there.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
He's
you
already waffling, Kelly. Don't give
you
him more
have a
reasons to waffle.
friend
waffle,
there.
no waffle. Yeah, no waffle.
Oh my gosh.
It's
your home club.
Yes, you're right. You're right. But I still need somebody want to lend me a good 22 to use.
You can use mine.
What's wrong with your voodoo?
No,
No,
I
you
can't
can't
use
use
that.
the
It weighs 50 pounds.
Standing.
It's like
You've done it. Oh, he's pulling your leg.
I gotta pull a ligament if I try to hold that.
You can use mine. Hi, Gabriel.
Hi, Gabriel.
Gabriel says you can take mine.
All right.
There
Thank
you
you.
go. What do you mean you can take mine? You're coming, right, Gabriel?
This is like live peer pressure. I like
I
it.
know. We've done that before.
That's
We've
what we
bought
do.
guns online. Well, other people
Mhm.
are, oh, fine.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, I will probably do it, but I'm like nervous about it because I don't want to do terrible again. So that's one
You
of
won't
those
do
things.
terrible. You'll be fine. I'll buy you dinner afterwards as well. So come on.
Dairy Queen?
Can I use one of my support bags? I have like a bunch of them. I can my Armageddon OG. I can be so steady with
pump pillow.
Pump.
Yeah.
No way, really? Okay, pump pillow. I'm in.
I'll come behind you and stab your pump pillow.
Oh, wow!
Whoops, sorry.
The poor pump pillow. I think that's it for me. How about you, Adriel?
Well, I got up to quite a bit. So last week it was Wednesday, Thursday night. I did that fun shoot thing with my youngest. This was his first competition. Yeah, great time. He had a great time. The people there were like super welcoming. He was the only junior on the line, and they made sure he had a great time. So he had a lot of fun. He shot pretty confidently, and other than a couple of super jams on the 22, he had one round. And I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was Federal Auto Match that caused this. But he had one where like struck it and then it didn't run. He racked it, and now he's got a double feed, drop it out. Tried striking that one a couple of more times, didn't work. So I had to do the dad move and pull a knife on on the stage and get that round out of there so he could keep going. But after that, it was fine. After that was totally fine. So that was good. I decided. So they said rimfire or pistol caliber. So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll get my youngest to do a rimfire 22 rifle because that's probably going to be the easiest to run. And I think, well, I brought the high point, but once I saw the stage, I'm like, oh, I'm going to need to do a lot of manual reloading of these magazine as I go along. So I'm not going to do that. So I used my my shadow and just decided to get some reps in pistol shooting, which is nice. Yeah, so it was great time. They're doing a steel challenge this week. I think I'm gonna go.
You should go. That'd be fun.
Yeah, you should go.
I don't think I'm that good at steel challenge. I think the safety on my shadow is kind of hard to hit, but I guess if it's decocked, then I'll just go DA for that first strike. Yeah, I'll do that. That's the correct way to do steel challenge, is decocked on a DA SA gun. So I'm going to do that. I've got the real thin like side safety on it. So it's nothing. There's nothing to grab onto, so it's kind of hard to hit under duress. So that was Thursday, and then Sunday I hit the range with the High Point again, and a new rifle. I'll show it next week, but this was a Kodiak Defense WK-181. This is the 7.62 by 39 one that takes AK mags. A couple nice things on it. The forend, like the forend is nice and soft. It's they've changed how they do the M-lock cuts on it. The side charging on it, I think, is really good. I think it's a vast improvement over the charging handles that either don't tighten or fall off or snap that they had on their Gen 1, 2, and 3 of their Gen 1 WKs. So I think the side charger, huge improvement, absolutely huge improvement. I was wondering if I should clean it beforehand. I decided not to. I took it out. I got one shot in, and that's all.
Oops.
And that round got stuck in the chamber because the chamber was kind of crusty and it didn't want to come out. And I didn't bring a rod because I'm a dummy, and it wouldn't have helped anyways because what it really needed was a scrub and some oil. So I gave it that, and maybe I'll get it out again this weekend. We'll see. I was shooting that High Point. Now, a couple things I did to that High Point. I put a big bad scope on top of it. I put a big bad brake on the front of it. Got it out to the range, started shooting. Accuracy was awful. Like
What?
something.
What?
I don't believe it.
Just wait. And this thing was spitting some stuff out the side. This brake was spitting stuff out the side.
Unburnt powder? Or
Nope. A little brassy kind of stuff.
Ooh.
Coppery kind of stuff. So
Lovely.
I think I was getting baffle strikes on my brake with the 9mm. So I think the 9mm, either the high quality MRA brake is not concentric, or the High Point muzzle thread is not quite concentric. One of those two is out of alignment.
The high quality High Point muzzle thread?
Maybe. I mean, the High Points, let's say it's $300. This is $100 just for the brake. So I pulled the brake off. I didn't have a wrench. I'm like, oh my God, how do I take this off without a wrench? And I was thinking, sometimes like I could be the dumbest. Yeah, you stick a screwdriver through there. And you stick a screwdriver through the baffle and pull it off. Pulled it off. All of a sudden, oh my God! Well, now like it's hitting in a totally different spot, and it's like it's kind of accurate. Like it's hitting the same spot. It's not throwing the odd one like a mile high and like just all over the place. So after I got that done, 5 to 8 MOA, 5 to 8, I would say. I can show you guys some pictures, I guess, just kind of pull some up, but better, like actually looked like a group, but still not that good. Still not that good. Still pretty. Here we go. Take a look at that there. So this is the target I was shooting at, and I was also shooting that target unbeknownst to me, because it was sending a couple off to the side. So like the central group here is like what, 1, 2, let's call it like 3 MOA with a couple going pretty far out, and I saw those rounds hit because it's a slow. There's not much recoil. I can watch the rounds hit through the scope. And the ones that hit over here, I was like, oh, what the fuck? Because I was hitting right the center, squeeze the trigger, and I'd get around like way over here. And I saw the shot. So when that happens, generally I prefer to blame the rifle when that kind of stuff happens. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it. So 5 to 8 MOA at 100. Not exactly. That's not accurate enough for a maple seed, I don't think. 5 to 8 MOA. Like I need 4. I need 4 MOA rifle. Kelly's shaking her head because she's like, Angel's just making excuses why he won't patch with this thing. But I guess I am. So it made for a pretty quick range trip because I had intended on firing 700 rounds out of that WK-181. I got 1. And the High Point, I was getting those baffle strikes. And my red dot, this is not the high points fault, this is my mount's fault. My 45-degree offset mount was too far out to be remotely zeroed. Like if you look at the and I saw this when I was shooting at the Thursday night fun shoot. When you shoot through the red dot, it was hitting like towards the top of the circle where and you can't move a dot that far. It's just not possible. So I'm going to need a different 45-degree offset mount and throw that one in the garbage. So that was Sunday. Monday come around and we had a little provincial election and the UCP got in there. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because, like, as I am somewhat concerned about firearms law, I'm glad that the party that won is so vehemently anti-federal government when it comes to guns and that kind of thing. And they are pro putting people that are, educated on guns into positions of power in the government, like the CFO. So
Awesome.
happy about that. Yep. This Thursday, there's Steel Challenge. I think I might do that. Yeah, go do some Steel Challenge. This weekend coming up is the National Range Day. Do you guys know? It's also the day.
I heard about that. Yeah,
Day Against Gun Violence, but I don't celebrate that one. I celebrate
It's Friday.
The Range Day one. I'm busy Friday. Saturday, I got all the time in the world. Go to the range. So if you want to see me, I'll be at Sherwood Park running the pistol bay, I believe. I'm going to take out, I don't know, a bunch of stuff. All my 9mm and 22, I bet I'll just take out and, take that stuff out, have some fun. The weekend after, back to business. Battle of Alberta, that's the big 3-gun match that's done out at Chaz here. That's the weekend after, so I'll be there starting. I don't know if I'm going to go Thursday night or Friday morning. I took Friday off so I could help with the build, but I got to haul a trailer out there because I'll be there all weekend. Maybe I'll go Friday. I don't know. We'll find out. Got to go help build some stages, and Jennifer just sent to us the stage book, so I got to take a look and see what kind of build we got going on. But so I will. I'll have a busy week and a busy next week as well. Very busy.
I'm going to miss that one.
There's such a prize table at that thing for the number of people that are going. So good. There's guns, there's eye protection, very fancy eye protections, got just all sorts of stuff.
You don't have to feel jealous. You're going to go play with your AR.
No, it's not built. It's just
an upper. Well, it will be.
I could play with
have
my
an AR.
I could go pull it down, play with it.
Right.
Not on camera.
Right there. That's it. Not in the Battle of Alberta.
No, can't do that. I'd like to.
No, yeah.
But I won't. Kelly, what have you been up to?
I've been up to quite a bit. So last weekend I was supposed to So one hung out with the Kincaids, and then on Sunday I was supposed to actually go and do the club level ATT. Problem was that it's not this month; it's at the end of next month. So I went, "Oh crap!" So, which was fine. I'm not available at the end of the next month, so they'll figure it out. So this past week, what have I done? Set up a lot of Mo. Yes. You're going to be going to Cornwall, so we've populated a lot of the Maple Seed Eventbrite stuff. All the clubs have their own links right now, or most of them do anyways. So those should be going out to the public soon because the clubs have them. However, Stittsville, the ones for Stittsville are going to be released probably this weekend if I can find the time to actually do that. So Richard Lee's listening. Richard, just send me an email or message about which one you'd like to go to in Stittsville, and I'll put you in.
If I release them to the public, do you mean yell at me to send the email out?
I will send you something saying, Adriel, can you release this to the public?
Boy, a lot of these are sold out, eh? Yep. Nova Scotia's sold out. Blue Ridge is sold out. Winnipeg's almost there.
I'm oversold at Blue Ridge.
Oh, I got Sherwood Park coming up here pretty quick too.
Yeah. Mm. So, had our first meeting for the Gunny Girl calendar. I am no longer not sure anybody really cares or knows. I'm no longer the lead for the Gunny Girl calendar, and I'm thankful. We have somebody that's replacing me, and Macintosh is doing a great job. And yeah, the Gunny Girl calendar is going to be fantastic this year. So yeah, we just closed out the submissions and had a meeting and starting to plan the Gunny Girl shoots. I think we're going to be doing 2 of them, one here in Ontario and then one in Alberta again. So,
did you do a succession plan where you're like trying to
yeah,
pick your successor? And
yep.
do you have a contest, like one of those like dating on an island contests?
No,
like vote people off the island. No,
I picked somebody to succeed me that I felt like could do a good job, and somebody was stepping up.
You could have been doing that with a fun voting thing on people on an island too.
That's true.
No?
I vote you off. I vote you off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this weekend, what's going to be happening is I too am going to be going to the Ottawa range day. So the EOSC with Tracy as well as everybody. We're going to be going up. I'm going to be traveling up there with Kincaid's on Friday night. Going to hang out with Tracy, the Vortex guys at her place in the hot tub, drinking wine, all that stuff on Friday night. And then Saturday, spend the day at EOSC. Bouncy Castles will be there. I'm not sure what I'm doing. I just usually get told to do something. It's usually on the handgun range, whatever, or on the rifle range. I just go where I'm told. And then I am going to be coming home on Saturday evening, and then I'm going to be going back on Sunday evening back to Tracy's. And then on Monday, I'm going to be going with Tracy to the Conservative Party's hunting and fishing caucus discussion, and then also the dinner that they're going to be having on Monday night. So I'm super excited about that. Going to go hang out with Pierre Pulliver. And yeah, I got some more stuff happening, but that's about it. A couple things, 1 or 2.
1 or 3.
7. Yep. I guess that's it. Over.
Nicely done.
Excellent. All right, let's get into upcoming events. If you want to join a Maple Seed, head on over to mapleseedrifleman.com/events to find events in your area. While you're at it, sign up for that newsletter. And then once Kelly bugs me, I will send an email out that has all those new events that we're just talking about. And you'll be the first. Well, not the first to know. You need to be a member of the range to be the first to know. Or, correct. Yeah. But otherwise, sign up for the newsletter and watch the website. Find a 3-gun match at 3gun.ca. National Range Day is coming up. Check your local range for events. The ORA 100-yard CQC and NSCC pistol is going to be on Saturday, June 3rd. The Precision Sniper Rifle is going to be on June 4th. Find out more on Practice Score or OntarioRifleAssociation.com. New gun stuff is brought to you by Bullseye North. Need a new boomstick? Bullseye North is Canada's shooting superstore and a proud supporter of the CCFR with a wide selection of guns and top trending gear for any shooter. Free shipping over $200. Some exclusions apply. It's like you can't just go buy like lead and ammo and heavy stuff that's costs a lot to send. The thing that they have right now that I have 10 of in my house is they have the 7.62x39 Magpul magazine. Banana mag, I think is what you would call it. For $33.99. That's
nice.
That's good.
Someone added the Marstar non-restricted converted Bren 2 estimated July. This one. I'm gonna have one of these.
You are.
Nice.
I will have one of those for review.
I'll see if we can get it for the calendar again this year. The new one, probably.
A Bren?
Yeah, we had a Bren in the last calendar.
They're cool.
Wow, from a high point to that.
Right?
Which do you choose?
From the slums to the
sounds like a downgrade to me.
I think you're gonna have a smaller group than 8.
Yeah, slightly smaller.
Maybe. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, thank you, whoever added this. Kyle, this is you.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, that's because this is like so great for 3-gun. Oh my god.
Yeah. Have you checked the prices on this?
No.
Oh,
What's
they're-
the damage?
Just click buy now. This
Okay, for our audio listeners, we are looking
Yes.
at the scope switch. It's an add-on that you put on top of the pick rail on the front of your modern sporting rifle, and it has like a pulley system that changes the magnification on the scope very quickly, so you can go from full to no mag without moving your hands back to do the lever. Normally you'd have like a lever on the scope, you'd flip that back or forth. This is kind of like a pump action, really.
Yeah, you just slide your hand up and down the forend and with your C clamp, and yeah.
Look at that.
And it's reasonably priced.
Did you see?
Yes,
you see
reasonably priced.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
I thought it was going to be worse than that.
How much?
$600.
$600.
$600. Wow.
I thought it was going to be worse. That's like a
USD?
full.
That's probably USD.
Canadized.
I was
silver
going to say.
black.
So 2,000 here. Wow. Okay.
Correct. Or a child's leg.
Yeah, so they have the 30 mil. Well, they're sold out of it, and then coming soon the 34 mil.
Huh.
Okay, wait.
That's what
This
I'm
is a
wondering.
full scope mount, though. This is a full scope mount.
Yeah.
A good scope mount is
Okay, yeah.
150, 200 bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
when it's
true.
a full scope mount and everything. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
A spur mount is what, like $400, like $450?
It's got a rail on the front, so you can put a red dot.
Yeah, like a worn cantilever is probably, I don't know, like 250, 300, I think.
Yeah. And it doesn't have a pump action to make the scope go side to side.
So we take it back. It's reasonably priced.
Well, it's still kind of expensive, but
It's still expensive, but it makes sense compared to the rest of the market.
oh, it's so gamer. It's so gamer. I love it so much.
Pretty cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, we thought we were a gamer with our throw levers.
What scopes can you use it on?
Well, I'd like to see that that piece that actually goes onto the scope and see its construction, because it would depend on its construction.
Installation is not easy and may require a gunsmith.
I like that.
Okay.
I like the hashtag too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, hashtag not for fuds.
Oh, I like it though. That doesn't look that bad. So it's a rubber ring.
Well, I think
only works with like
getting it zeroed for your throw lever, I think, is going to be the part that is fun.
I don't know. I think that's going to be fine. It's just a pulley system, right? There's just two cables in there that are pulling back and forth on this whole thing. So, and then you stick this. Oh, it's got a couple of Allen keys right there. A couple of Allen bolts that like cinch the thing down to your zoom ring.
I'm sure it's got spacers for different size zoom rings.
Look at that. Couple of Allen bolts to cinch it down onto the magnify ring. Oh, look, and there's the cable right there. It's just cinched right onto it. Oh,
yeah, it's just crimped at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. That's doable. That I feel like I could install this.
Yeah.
If I ran an optic for 3-gun, which I don't, but cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yep. That's pretty neat. All right. Why don't we get on to the main topic? Thanks again to Ian for coming on and letting us know all about C21 and some of the changes that are coming with that. Why don't we get into listener feedback? First we got Facebook. Mike was just mentioning that Spur scope mounts are like $400 with extras like bubble levels and red dot mounts. So I guess that makes that scope switch a bargain, doesn't it? Anything else that we're missing on the Facebook? Accuracy by volume, high point. How explodey was the piston on the WK? It hasn't exploded yet, but I will show you something.
Show us.
This is the piston return spring that came with it. That's had thousands of rounds to it. Keep in mind, but it is broken. The original piston's in there though, and that thing has a few thousand rounds in it. They did send me another one just in case, but haven't needed it yet. Any other interesting Facebook? Who's on first? What's on second?
No.
Richard just posted, and I think we got an email about it as well. Saying that Nova Tactical posted the following regarding Nova Scotia CFO and ATTs for restricted firearms in light of the wildfires. They're also offering storage to anyone who needs it. See their Facebook for info. We have confirmed that the Nova Scotia Chief Firearms Office have been notified that the requirements to obtain an ATT for transportation of restricted firearms have been waived. We will help instruct anyone dropping off restricted firearms. So.
It's good of them to do that. Really.
Yeah. It's
Store it.
proactive.
Yeah.
All right, let's get on to the emails. Mo, you're about as close to this writer in as the rest of us. So why don't you read this first one here?
Sure. It's a long one, so I'm going to read it at 1.5 times speed for people listening at that speed. Ready?
Okay. Ready?
Okay. Letter to the editor-in-chief. So, ordered a Lockhart Tactical when they were announced, and Frosty on Slamfire Radio said he would not order a firearm from a startup company. Well, the wheels started to turn. Paid in full, no communication, no confirmation, and no return email. Oh, shit. There goes my money. Then they announced 223 version. Take my money, wait another year, and they finally ship. Open the box. They kind of look like my old federal liberal prohibited tier maker Lego rifle. I miss my AR-15. The pins that hold the Lockhart together are an interesting way to do it. Switching between caliber is not a painless endeavor. The best way I found was using a large chamber flag of plastic. The same size of a PI pin seems to work the best. So the firearm came in a 9mm configuration, took the gun out and checked it, loaded a mag, pulled the trigger and bang, pulled the trigger again and click, failed to chamber around, tap rack and failed to load again. The 9mm was cockeyed on the ramp, pulled the mag, dump the round, put back in a chamber and round, and bang, another failure to feed. Back to the table after making the rifle safe, clean, oil, and check the functionality. Back to the line, load a mag and bang, and still failure to feed. Well, let's try a different thing. Went from a Glock to... not sure. Mag then cycled 5 rounds, still failure to feed. Well, the only thing left is to buffer tube to wait. Well, the only thing left is the buffer tube too strong and not cycling all the way back. Maybe a listener could write in and give me other ideas to check and fix this issue. So I took the 9mm upper and threw it in the box of the truck and put it on a 223 version. Went to the line of fire, pointed the Lockhart Tactical, and with one hand and face pointed away from the firearm, I pulled the trigger, bang, and it didn't blow up. We were off to a good start till pull the trigger pin and nothing. Failure to feed. Fudge. Make safe. Go to the table. Take apart and clean and oil. Try again and at the firearm line. Fire and fudge. Unload. Clear back to the table. This is getting frustrating. My area would do this if just ran well. So take the handgun guard off, find the right Allen key, open the gas port off the gas block. Now I'm too pissed to pull the handguard back on. Back to the line and bang, bang. Now I'm smiling. Well, now it functions, and when the payment comes through from selling my kidneys, I'll buy an optic for this gun and test the accuracy. Thanks. This email was composed by Siri and was not proofread to make sense. Oh, I'm so glad to read that because I was thinking of my reading comprehension was very failing badly. P.S. Great job on the 500th episode. What an accomplishment. It was great to hear from us current from former hosts.
Read it as it's written.
Olé.
From us current host. Here's to 500 more. Hip hip hooray. I sign off. Good night, Kelly.
Good night.
Wow.
Everyone should know who that is,
Yes.
just by the spelling. Even the series spelling. Thank you anyways, though.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Kyle, I
It
feel
was
like
good.
you're not... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it really was good to hear from everybody, all the past hosts.
It was.
Yeah, it was great.
And I did like to hear about that Lockhart Tactical because it has one of the more promising designs. Just the fact that it's got a DI upper. Tony is now saying on YouTube, the Raven has really got mixed reviews of the BTSA. The first few offline do well, but I've heard horror stories too.
Yeah.
And I've seen those too. It's frustrating because it's got a very promising design, but to shoot competition with it, it needs to be reliable, right? You can't have a gun that fails on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kyle, did you want to take this one from Tony?
Sure. Good evening, Slamfire crew. It's Tony again with an update on his Steel Challenge journey with his Kel-Tec Sub 2000. I think I will call myself the Long Email Tony from now on. Last Sunday, I was able to improve my Steel Challenge game significantly, despite the sun and heat, shooting into B class in 5 out of the 8 stages, and I was very happy with my Smoke and Hope score of 68%, up from 56% last time. But unfortunately, the final score for all 8 stages adds up to an eye-watering 59.93%. So close, but 0.07% too slow for B class. I'm sure I'll have my B certification in the near future. Maybe at the Steel Challenge Nationals. Plug. If you're interested, please come and join us at the BTSA range on July 22nd and 23rd for the Canadian National Steel Challenge Championship. Registration on Practice Score and registration closes July 7th. Regarding my Sub 2000 rig. Somehow, it worked flawlessly for approximately 1,500 rounds in a row. If Adriel still has the high point when he visits BTSA for Maple Seed, we can have a plastic PPCC shootout. I'm running the Vortex Spark 2 red dot. Good optic overall at a very affordable price. But the dot is not bright enough for the sunny summer days in Alberta, especially when mounted forward. In my case, right below the support hand. Below the support hand.
Weird.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, but like that Spark 2 red dot, like why aren't you running a $1,600 optic on your PC? That's what I'm running on my high point. You should at least be running a $2,000 optic on your Sub 2000, right?
Yeah. I've added the Magpul RVG vertical grip to my Sub 2K. Allows me to have a better C-clamp grip on the relatively short handguard. I think it helped me race the gun a bit harder and faster, but you do sacrifice the portability of the Sub 2K when folded. For reference, I am running a full fleet of Magpul PMag 10 GL9s, native 10-round Glock magazines. They work great. Thoughts on the High Point 995. I think the Grantham video on the 955 is a dark cloud overhead that will never dissipate. It can be a reliable firearm, and I've heard you get amazing customer service from High Point in the US. In Canada, the perspective changes by a lot. You are limited to 5 rounds on top of the already quite restrictive 10 rounds that it was designed for. You may often run into a nice reload situation when shooting Steel Challenge. Are High Point pistols not sold in Canada? I thought they used the same magazines. No, they're sold in Canada. I thought it was different
sold.
magazines.
Yeah,
What's that?
they are. Nobody wants to buy them.
No.
Yeah, they're here.
And I've heard the customer service is nowhere close to the US counterpart. In my opinion, it is a great firearm for prepping. It is cheap and you can bury it somewhere. But that philosophy isn't quite valid or legal in Canada. A Ruger PCC or PC carbine or the Kel-Tec Sub 2K, in my opinion, are superior options in Canada, at additional cost. Maybe the Ruger American Ranch and 7.62x39 would be more suited if you were looking for a farm rifle that shoots cheap ammo. That's the full article for today. Don't forget to join the Slamfire Radio Discord channel. P.S. Hey Adriel, BTSA Maple Seed registration open when? Best regards, Tony of Calgary.
I should probably send in that paperwork that I have to.
Open
and
that
then
this
the
weekend?
event.
Yeah.
The event's in
Isn't it
September.
Tony that
so,
you
like,
send it to?
Over.
What?
I forgot.
Over.
Thank you, Mo. I have yet to send the paperwork over to them. Oh, I've got a signed hosting agreement, but I need to sign the BTSA stuff. Once I do that, I will open the registration over.
Under.
Oh boy.
All right, let's get on to YouTube comments. Kyle, you got these?
I do.
All right, fantastic. Sock 'em
We
to us.
got Eddie, Roswell and probing. It reminds me of an episode of The Simpsons. Homer, oh no, aliens. Well, I suppose you want to probe me. Might as well get it over with. Turns around and drops pants. Kang, stop! And his tentacles quiver. We've reached the limits of what rectal probing can teach us.
That's a good one.
And then some Mo guy commented, saying, I would have messed up that swapping names intro.
Last week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was fun. Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, we'll do those when they come in. Discord. Yeah. Go sign up for the Slamfire Radio Discord. We'll point you to the better Discord. But then you can also talk to us about our Discord stuff and what we did in guns and all that kind of stuff.
The link's in the chat.
I'm just using Discord right now to convince my youngest to come to the Steel Challenge and shoot his 1911-22 because he's good at it. He can run it. He can run that thing. We will do what people bought on our Cabela's link next week. If you haven't heard, we've got a link to Cabela's on slamfireradio.com. If you want to buy something from them, go click on that first and then buy your thing, and we'll get like, I don't know, 1% back or something like that through no cost to you. Thanks to our supporters on Patreon and Player. If you'd like to help support us, head on over there and sign up. If you'd like to email the show and have us butcher your email, or you could butcher your email, pre-butcher it, and then send it to us, and then we'll butcher it some more when we read it.
Butcher the butchering.
Butcher the butchering. Send your email to slamfireradio@gmail.com. Shoutouts, recommendations?
I'd like to shout out the Roswell crew for another fun match up there.
Okay. Any from Mo?
Over?
Over.
Yes. So I'd like to give a huge shout out to the Johnsons. That's Corey Johnson as well as Cass. They are parents for the first time this past weekend. So that means the Jim Johnson, the Johnson Ranch here that we're going to be going to, the Johnsons are grandparents. So it's awesome. Anybody knows the Johnsons, it's an Ontario thing.
Not necessarily. I have a Johnson out here now.
Yeah, he's St. Albert. Yeah, but he just became a father on Sunday, so
he's probably not going to go to very many Maple Seeds.
Yeah, no, he's not.
Dang it!
Damn it! So, yep, just a shout out to them, and then also to whatever. Okay, never mind.
Mo,
was that an over?
Over.
Yeah, over.
Over. My shout out is to all the ranges putting on National Range Day this weekend, and for all of us, get out there and enjoy. That's
perfect. I don't know if this is a recommendation. Okay, so I've been watching YouTube, and a bunch of American gun tubers have started reviewing the Crew Arms Temp 556. This is the Crusader Arms Templar 556 that we know in Canada. That's a 180 variant. They changed their name because of copyright, but a bunch of big gun tubers have started reviewing this. I think I saw Administrative Results reviewed it. Such 00 reviewed it. I don't really like the reviews so far. Like, I don't like the what they're reviewing. None of them have used a trigger pull gauge or anything to figure out like how much this thing weighs. A couple of things they've noted is like the weight's high. These things are now made in the US as well. Did you guys know that?
No.
So it uses an ACR style stock, not an ACR stock, but it's ACR style. I'm trying to think of some. Well, it's a 180 platform, which I don't think like most of the American gun tuners are used to, because why would they? Was just you can use an AR. They're pretty expensive in the US. They're $2,000 to $3,000, and yeah, I don't think that like most of their reviews, like they're not very good at the disassembly. They look kind of rushed. I'm not sure. Yeah, not sure. Not sure about the reviews. It looks like they're just doing like a mail out a bunch of free guns and try to get some reviews on it, kind of a thing. Food for thought. I don't know if that's it's just something I noticed. Finally, join our Discord server. Watch us on Facebook, YouTube, and Player. Join the CCFR, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Good night.